Hello, this is Christy from Digital Scrapbooking Classes with a tutorial for you today on how to add photos and papers to a template layout. I am starting with a template from Anita Designs from her Colors of Spring collection, and we will be adding papers from the kit called Homebody by Humble and Create from the Digital Press. Before we get started, I want to draw your attention to two things. The first is the tools that we're going to be using. When you first open up Affinity, you usually have the View tool selected. That's the hand icon. And that allows you to click on the layout and move it around the desktop space here. We are going to be using the second tool, which is the Move tool. That's the arrow. When you click on that, you're going to be able to click on different pieces of the layout to select them. The second thing I want to draw your attention to is the layers palette over here on the right side. If yours does not look like mine, I want you to look for the tab that says layers, and that will show you all of the different layers that currently exist on the template that you are using. So with the Move tool selected, I'm going to click first on the photo space, the photo placeholder, and you will notice that it gets selected in the layers palette over here. Next, I'm going to go over to Finder, to my folder where I have the pictures that I'm going to be dragging in, and I want to put this picture in this spot. So I'm going to select it on my layout, and then I'm going to click and drag the picture right over top of it, and you'll notice that it just sits in a layer right above the photo layer on my template. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over top of the picture spot, and I'm going to resize it to be about what I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and clip it to this rectangle where the photo holder is. To do that, I'm going to go over to the layers palette and click on the picture so that I can move it. And you'll see when I move it, there's a little blue line that kind of hovers. If I go ahead and put it like this, it will appear in the layers palette and on the layout directly under the photo rectangle that I had. But what I'm going to do is actually put it underneath and make it so that it goes over to the right. What that is going to do is that is going to group it with that rectangle and clip it so that it only shows through where that rectangle is and not anywhere around it. Now, when I have that selected, this layer, remember, is the rectangle. So if I were to resize that, I would be resizing the whole rectangle. This layer is the picture, and you'll notice that the blue line that goes around the shape of the picture is actually extending beyond that photo rectangle, which means that I can click it and continue to resize or move up and down or sideways that picture until I get it exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the second picture on my layout. I'm going to click here and get the blue lines to go around the photo 2 rectangle on my template. I will go over to Finder, find the picture that I want to bring in, and I will drag that over. Now this is a much bigger photograph, you'll notice, so I'm going to start by resizing it. What I do is I hover my mouse over the corner, and when I click and drag on the corner, it's going to resize it, keeping the proportions the same. If I go to the side and try to resize it, you'll notice that I am squishing the picture one direction or the other. If I do it from the top, it's the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and undo those transformations, and instead I'm going to pick the corner so that I can resize it, keeping the right proportions. I'm going to drag it over where I want it and get it close. Remember, I can always continue to resize it after I've clipped it. And now I click on this until it drags down, make it so that's that blue line over to the right, and let go. And there it is, clipped to the photo rectangle on my template. And again, because I have this layer selected, the actual picture, not the shape, the picture, I can continue to resize it and move it and get it to be exactly where I want it. for the layout. We can do the same thing when adding papers to the layout. I'm going to start by adding a background paper. So I'm going to click on either the background icon in the Layers palette or right on my layout. Find the paper that I want to add there and drag and drop it right on in. And then I'm going to move it so that it fills the background. And then I'll do the same thing for each of these triangles in the background. Go ahead and click on the triangle on the layout. Find the paper that I want. There it is. Drag it on in. Put it where I want it, and then clip it right underneath so that it just shows up where that triangle is. Same thing here. Oops, I think I want the blue one. And clip it underneath. And the third triangle, I'm going to add this yellow paper. And I want to show you something with this. When I clip this yellow paper, you'll notice that the stripes are going at a fairly odd angle for the way the triangle is cut out. So when you have this paper layer selected on your Layers palette, you'll notice that the blue lines go around where the square of the paper is. And around each corner, we noticed that there were circles that you could resize it with. But notice right up at the top that there's an extra circle sticking up. When I hover over that with my mouse, you will notice that it turns to a curved arrow. When I click and hold on my mouse, I can rotate that paper. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate it until it is lined up with the way the triangle is cut out. And there you have it, added some papers to the layout. In case you were curious, here is my final layout with all of the elements added. Thanks so much for joining us on this tutorial on how to add photos and papers to your template layout. Go ahead and look at digital scrapbooking classes on YouTube or Facebook for more tutorials.